The day I found out I was pregnant, I asked Gabriel for a divorce. Just because I celebrated my assistant's birthday with him? He raised an eyebrow. Yes. Fine. He took the agreement and signed his name casually. For the next 3 months. I won't agree to remarry you. When the time comes, don't come crying and begging me. After being together for 7 years, he knew 3 months was the longest Cold War I could endure. He was even more certain that as a simp, I wouldn't survive without him. But what he didn't know was, I had already booked the surgery, and I had bought a small apartment in a northern city over 1,000 kilometers away. My mom once said, a disloyal man is worse than a dog. This time, I won't look back again. Chapter 1. I slipped the signed divorce agreement into a document folder and turned to leave. Gabriel spoke faintly. I'll give you another chance. Julia, marriage is not a joke. I looked back at him. I'm serious. You say you're serious every time. He chuckled softly, shaking his head. You even pulled the trick of a divorce agreement. What's next time going to be? The soft glow of the crystal chandelier fell over Gabriel. His fingers tapped the table, calm, relaxed, confident. There won't be a next time, I replied calmly. His fingers paused. Gabriel seemed to want to say more, but a sudden flash of lightning lit up the window, and the phone on the table lit up in response. Miriam was flashing on the screen. My expression turned mocking. Gabriel only shrugged indifferently and turned on the speaker. As soon as the call connected, a young girl's tearful voice came through. Gabriel, it's pouring outside. I'm stuck at the office and can't get a taxi. There's thunder nonstop. I'm really scared. Gabriel didn't respond immediately. Instead, he lifted his eyes to look at me. If it were before, I would have grabbed the phone, cursed her out, and warned Gabriel he was not allowed to pick her up. But now, with the divorce agreement in my hand, I actually felt relieved. A strange calmness settled in. Miriam must have sensed something off too. She hesitantly asked, Is sister-in-law next to you? Before anyone could answer, she hurriedly added, I didn't mean anything else. With such heavy rain, it must be inconvenient for you to come pick me up. Gabriel, I just wanted to borrow the CEO's office to stay overnight. If sister-in-law is upset, I can explain. I promise I won't dirty your room. Sister-in-law, are you listening? I couldn't resist picking up the phone. Miriam? If I remember correctly, your position is CEO's assistant. The girl on the other end seemed startled and stammered out a yes. So, as an assistant, during overtime in extreme weather, your first reaction is to call your boss, crying that you're scared. I asked softly, you can't get a taxi home. The company obviously has an employee restroom, yet your solution is to request staying in the CEO's private bedroom. Is that right? Miriam fell silent. Your work capability is terrible, and your sense of boundaries is even worse. It's this late and you're whining to a married male superior. Did your parents never teach you basic decency? I glanced at my watch. It was already 11 p.m. She'd been in the company for only 3 months. Gabriel was always lenient with staff. There was no reason she needed to work this late. And even if she really couldn't go home, the employee restroom had folding beds and daily necessities prepared. Yet Miriam's first request was to stay in the CEO's private suite, the same room Gabriel used for overnight projects. The same room I would occasionally accompany him in, with my toiletries and my pajamas inside. How shameless could she be? Not to mention all the previous little incidents. Each one stuck like a fishbone in my throat. Even though I expected this, my chest still heaved with anger. I'm sorry, sister-in-law. I was wrong. Please don't fight with Gabriel because of me. He's been stressed with work lately and not feeling well. Miriam suddenly burst into loud sobs. She cried like a child. Yet she was smart enough not to hang up. Her sobbing echoed loudly, gratingly. That's enough. Gabriel stood up, grabbed the phone back, and quickly comforted her in a low voice. She's just a fresh graduate. She knows nothing. Why are you taking your anger out on her? He frowned at me, totally oblivious to Miriam's intentions. Such a clumsy trick. Did he truly not notice? Or did he enjoy it? The anger rising in my chest suddenly went quiet. I looked at Gabriel, feeling like everything had lost its meaning. Chapter 2. It rained the entire night. Early the next morning, the moment I turned on my phone, I saw a Xiaohongsha post sent by my best friend Amanda. The ID was Gabriel's exclusive little assistant. Posted just 1 hour ago. Chauffeur pickup on a stormy night. Energy-boosting breakfast after emotional exhaustion. Guess which CEO this belongs to? The first picture was a selfie of Miriam sitting in the backseat of a Maybach. The second picture was her holding a Starbucks coffee, secretly making a toasting gesture toward Gabriel, who was working not far away. There was even a little heart drawn on the cup sleeve. I froze for a moment. Gabriel hadn't gone out last night. It must have been the family driver he sent to pick her up. My phone buzzed again. Amanda called directly. Julia, who is this pretentious coquette? Daring to fantasize about your man? Does Gabriel know he's being set up? Hurry up and fire her. The comments section keeps calling her Mrs. CEO. I'm disgusted on your behalf. I opened the girl's homepage, barely a dozen posts, yet almost 300,000 followers. It documented the daily interactions between a clumsy little assistant and a domineering CEO. Pink bubbles of flirtation floating between every line. The fans were obsessed, all urging them to get married. Amanda kept cursing. This pretentious coquette really knows how to make up stories. Everyone knows Gabriel is a walking block of ice who only acts human in front of you. As if he'd bother remembering her period cycle. And that sapphire necklace, wasn't that your favorite jewelry brand? Amanda's voice grew softer and softer. After a long silence, she asked quietly, Julia, are you crying? I covered the speaker and sniffed forcefully. No, it rained last night. I think I caught a cold. Enough about this. When are you coming back to Lianqing? I want to leave with you. Amanda paused for a long while and then asked, did Gabriel fight with you because of that girl? He didn't fight with me. I looked out at the gloomy sky. After an entire night, the glass still wasn't dry. The leftover droplets blurred the world outside. It's just, this city has had too much rain. I don't want to stay anymore. Last night, Gabriel signed the divorce agreement without a hint of hesitation. What reason did I have to stay? Chapter 3. I also told Amanda about the pregnancy. She screamed excitedly over the phone and insisted I go out to meet her. But when I arrived at the restaurant we agreed on, she was still stuck in traffic. This was a private dining place Gabriel and I often visited. The staff were all familiar faces. The head waiter saw me and naturally led me toward a private room. Gabriel arrived a while ago. Please watch your step. Gabriel is here too? I stopped in my tracks. Inside the private room came familiar voices and laughter. I still remember back when a new seasonal dish came out. Julia wouldn't stop pestering you to bring her here. Why didn't you invite her today? It was Hudson, the vice president. She's throwing a tantrum. Ignore her. Gabriel's voice was as cold as ever. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have worked overtime so late and called Gabriel. A delicate, sugary sweet voice chimed in. Miriam was here too. All that over one phone call? One of the other VPs clicked his tongue. Julia's temper is really getting worse each year. Gabriel, don't blame me for being blunt. But she chased after you for so long. And once she finally got you, she didn't treasure you. Constant drama. Julia took the initiative to chase Gabriel? Miriam suddenly chimed in, her tone filled with barely concealed delight. I thought. She paused and sighed lightly. Gabriel treats Julia so well. He's so busy he barely eats. Yet he still accompanies her through every holiday. And she throws a fit whenever something isn't to her liking. Even I feel bad for him. The room was silent for 2 seconds. Then everyone started jeering. See? Your assistant knows more propriety than your wife. That's women for you. Once they get older, they turn into tigresses. Young girls are more considerate. Coldness crept into my heart. These people were Gabriel's long-term comrades. During their startup days, I used my own money to buy equipment for them. Ordered fruit in the summer. Sent late-night snacks in the winter. They used to call me sister-in-law with such affection. Yet behind my back, this was what they thought. I couldn't listen anymore. I turned to leave, but accidentally bumped into a server carrying dishes. She let out a startled cry. Seasonal river fish spilled all over the floor. The laughter in the private room stopped instantly. The door swung open. Sister-in-law? The VPs all stared at one another. I lifted my head and saw Gabriel sitting in the main seat, while Miriam sat tightly beside him on his left. Like a hostess. Chapter 4. The headwaiter hurried over to clean up the mess. Fortunately, the young waitress wasn't burned. I apologized to her, and she blushed, shook her head, saying it was fine, then turned back to work. Throughout the whole process, Gabriel's gaze remained fixed on me. Hudson forced a laugh and came over to greet me. Sister-in-law, when did you get here? Why didn't you come in and sit? 15 minutes ago. My expression didn't budge. You all continue. This is all a misunderstanding. Gabriel, aren't you going to say something? The group wore awkward smiles and stood up one after another to persuade me to sit. Suddenly, Miriam pulled her chair back and stood up abruptly, pouring herself a glass of baijiu. Sister-in-law, don't overthink. That's not what everyone meant. Her fingers trembled slightly as she lifted the glass. Today is my first day as a full-time employee. Gabriel invited several VPs to celebrate for me. I was feeling emotional and complained a little. It was all my fault. Please don't stay mad at Gabriel. I offer this drink as an apology. Miriam downed the cup of baijiu in one gulp, immediately choking, her little face turning red and eyes watering. Gabriel frowned slightly and handed her a tissue. I let out a cold laugh. You finished your whole speech all by yourself, and somehow you put a giant hat on my head. Miriam lifted her gaze, expression soft yet stubborn. I came to this big city alone after graduation. I don't have family or friends here. Gabriel is the only person I can trust and rely on. The rain was heavy last night, and I panicked. That's why I called him. You said I had no sense of boundaries, I admit that. But you insulted my parents. That I really can't accept. Her voice choked. As soon as she said this, the VPs around showed subtle changes in expression. Their eyes toward me shifted, tinged with disapproval. I laughed in disbelief and was about to rebut. Gabriel suddenly spoke. Julia didn't insult anyone. He looked at Miriam and said in a low voice, "Don't dwell on this anymore. It's over." Miriam could only nod pitifully. Then she gathered her courage again, poured 2 glasses of liquor, and walked toward me. Sister-in-law, let me toast you again. Can you forgive me? This time, Gabriel didn't stop her. He knew I had a good tolerance for alcohol, but I was pregnant, regardless of whether this child could come into the world or not. I wouldn't harm my own body this way. I accepted the cup, then flipped my wrist and poured the entire drink onto the floor. Everyone's expressions changed. Miriam's eyes filled with tears. She turned her head, wanting to seek help from Gabriel. The next second, a loud slap landed firmly on her face. Well, aren't you something? Seduce a whole room of men until they lose their senses. And bully Julia because you think no one has her back. A gentle rose fragrance drifted past me. Amanda had arrived. Before anyone inside could react, she swept her gaze across the room and locked eyes with Gabriel. Gabriel, are you really going to let a pretentious coquette run wild on top of Julia's head? Do you even know Julia can't drink right now? Gabriel looked at me, shock and confusion flashing across his face. What's wrong with her body? It has nothing to do with you. Go take care of your little assistant. I grabbed the furious Amanda by the arm, left behind the room of stunned faces, and walked out of the private dining room. Chapter 5. Julia, your fighting power has really declined. Back in college, didn't you easily get rid of all those flirty girls around Gabriel? Why are you so suffocated today? Amanda took a huge sip of milk tea, pounding her chest in anger. Besides, you're carrying his child. What's there to be afraid of? You should have beaten that girl up. I gently patted Amanda's back and said softly, last night, I asked Gabriel for a divorce. He agreed, so I'm not planning to keep this baby. I want to move to Liancheng. One bombshell after another made Amanda choke on her milk tea until she coughed violently. When she finally calmed down, she fell silent again. Julia, 7 years of love. Can you really let it go? Amanda asked quietly. I knew she wasn't trying to excuse Gabriel. She was just afraid I'd regret it, afraid I'd be hurt. After all, I loved Gabriel for 7 years. He had long become a part of my life. I looked at a little girl not far away holding a balloon, falling into deep thought. These past days, I had asked myself this question countless times, until just now, when something Amanda said suddenly woke me up. She said I used to easily deal with the flirty girls around Gabriel, but the truth is, I was never someone powerful. I used to cry even when arguing with roommates. And I was terrible at dealing with catfights and women competing over men. All this time, all I ever needed to do was tell Gabriel I was jealous, and he would automatically draw a clear line with any woman who tried to approach him. It had never gotten as ugly as it did today. This time, he would rather sign the divorce agreement than transfer Miriam away. That was when I knew this relationship could never go back to what it was. Chapter 6. The first time I met Gabriel, the scene was quite dramatic. My roommate and his roommate were a couple, and the guy got caught two-timing her. The day after it happened, my roommate dragged us to confront the scumbag, and Gabriel happened to be there. The scumbag stuttered and tried to get Gabriel to testify that he'd stayed in the dorm the night before and hadn't gone anywhere. But after Gabriel understood the situation, his expression instantly turned cold. I can't help you. Loyalty in a relationship is the bottom line. The boy's voice was calm and chilly. He wore a plaid shirt washed so many times the colors had faded. Yet when facing his roommate's mockery and threats, his eyes were firm, like he was guarding some precious truth. At that moment, my heart trembled slightly. Yes, my standards for choosing a partner were simple: loyalty, the most basic, yet the rarest. For as long as I could remember, my parents had argued endlessly over this. My father was handsome and charming, a playboy of his era. He spent nights in dance halls and never came home until dawn, sometimes returning with bright red lipstick smeared on his collar. My mother loved him and hated him. She once even pressed a knife to her own neck to force him to stop seeing those women. Yet every time, my father would coax her with sweet words for a few days, then go right back to nights filled with wine and women. Eventually, the string in my mother's heart, the one called sanity, snapped. On winter solstice, she put on bright lipstick, wore her favorite dress, hugged me, and said her final words: "Julia, never choose a man like your father." Then she turned away and jumped from the rooftop of the dance hall, blooming into a brilliant flower in the snow. I dreamed of that scene countless nights, and rejected one boy after another who pursued me, until the year I met Gabriel. I thought, he's different from my father. At first, Gabriel had zero interest in me. People even warned me that he was the famous iceberg of the physics department, never seen being ambiguous with anyone. But the more that was true, the more determined I became to win him over. His stomach was weak, so before dawn I waited outside the boys' dorm to bring him breakfast. He loved reading philosophy, so I borrowed books he'd read from the library and posted book reviews on my social media, visible only to him. He loved obscure indie bands, so I crossed half the city to find discontinued CDs and casually gave them to him as birthday gifts. Just like that, winter of sophomore year arrived. As usual, I was waiting outside the dorm with warm steamed buns, ready to go to class with Gabriel. He walked up and saw my red nose and frozen ears. He suddenly sighed softly, removed his scarf, and wrapped it around me. "Julia, love yourself first, then love others." I buried my face in his scarf, smiling with curved eyes. Of course I loved myself. That's why I had chosen the best partner for me. After that, Gabriel truly spent 7 whole years with only me in his eyes and heart, until Miriam appeared. Chapter 7. One day in July, Gabriel came home very late after work, saying his car had been scratched and sent for maintenance. I asked him what happened and whether he was hurt. He shook his head, pulled me into his arms, and said something interesting had happened today. It turned out that HR had rejected a fresh graduate, a young girl, during recruitment. The girl was unwilling to accept it and took her resume to the underground parking lot to block Gabriel's car, trying to fight for a chance, and almost got hit. I frowned as I listened and was about to say it was way too dangerous. But then I saw Gabriel lost in the memory, with a smile on his face he didn't even realize was there. A sudden sense of unease washed over me. What happened next proved it. Was it because of the cartoon emoji he suddenly used when chatting? Or because he showed up 2 whole hours late on my birthday? Or was it the fact that even though my period hadn't arrived yet, he kept asking the housekeeper to make various tonic sweet soups and pack them in insulated containers for me to take to the company? And that necklace, clearly meant to be my anniversary gift, yet he ordered the exact same one for Miriam. There were too many signs. These 3 months, Gabriel and I had argued countless times because of Miriam. He said Miriam reminded him of his younger self, poor family background, but full of grit. When he talked about her worn out, faded canvas shoes. A look of distress would flash in his eyes. He said he only treated her like a junior he wanted to support. But again and again, he crossed boundaries, trampling my dignity right on the ground. Just the day before yesterday, during another big fight, I smashed the little pig figurine Miriam had gifted him. Gabriel's expression turned cold, and without looking back, he slammed the door and left. I bawled my eyes out, then stood before the mirror to wash my face, only to be horrified when I saw that my expression looked exactly like my mother's back then. That face twisted with resentment and unwillingness, ugly beyond words. In that moment, I realized it was time for me to leave. Chapter 8. I booked the plane tickets to Liancheng with Amanda and went home to pack my luggage. When I opened the door, I found Miriam there as well. She shrank back for a second when she saw me, but immediately straightened her posture. Julia, I'm here to help Gabriel pack his luggage. Gabriel is taking me on a business trip to East City. After saying that, Miriam watched my movements cautiously, as if still traumatized by Amanda's slap. I treated her like air and walked straight to the bedroom. Gabriel was inside looking for clothes, ties and shirts scattered all over the bed. When he saw me enter, he pressed his lips together and casually asked, "You weren't feeling well yesterday? Did your period come early?" I let out a mocking laugh. "We're already divorced. No need for your concern." Avoiding the mess on the floor, I opened the drawer and began packing. Gabriel folded his arms and watched me, eyes probing. After observing me for a while, he suddenly let out a soft laugh. "You knew I was going to East City for a business trip? So uneasy about it? Tell me, when were you planning to secretly follow? I can ask Miriam to change her ticket so the three of us can go together." I ignored him and tiptoed to reach the suitcase on top of the wardrobe. Gabriel came over to help. I tried to keep distance, but he pulled me into his arms. "Don't make a fuss. You already hit someone. Isn't that enough?" He whispered coaxingly in my ear. This was Gabriel's usual tactic. I frowned and was about to push him away, when Miriam's voice suddenly came from outside the door. "Gabriel, I'm a bit thirsty. Can I go downstairs to buy a bottle of water?" Gabriel paused and looked toward her. "There's water in the fridge. Just take one." But Miriam hurriedly shook her head, still playing the timid little girl act. "Julia definitely won't like me touching things. I'd better go to the convenience store downstairs." I laughed. "Since you know I don't like it, then why did you come here? Here to annoy me on purpose?" Sensing the fire in my tone, Miriam's eyes reddened as she withdrew her hand from the doorframe. Gabriel's voice sank. "I asked her to come. It's more convenient to go to the airport later." He turned toward Miriam and spoke gently. "You're not familiar with this area. Don't wander off. Just get the water from the fridge. It's fine." Miriam nodded pitifully and left. As soon as she exited, Gabriel looked me in the eyes and said seriously, "I don't understand. You were so patient and considerate toward that restaurant waitress. Why are you targeting Miriam? She's barely in her early 20s. It's normal for her to make mistakes." I curled my lips. "Because I'm a petty, jealous woman, the type who goes crazy seeing her husband with a female assistant, and even uses divorce as a threat. Does that explanation work for you? Are you satisfied?" Gabriel stepped back, eyebrows tightly furrowed, his expression full of disappointment. "If you're going to act like this, then don't come to East City with me." "Who said I'm going with you?" I sneered. "Then where are you packing to go?" I ignored him and continued looking for clothes. But the moment I opened the wardrobe, the overwhelming scent of orange blossom hit my nose. I instantly gagged. The wardrobe fragrance had been replaced with orange blossom, the scent I hate the most. The exact same scent Miriam wears. Gabriel didn't realize what was happening. He stepped forward, saw the pale look on my face, and his tone softened. "You really don't feel well? Did you go to the hospital?" I shook my head. "Just gastritis." He touched my forehead and seemed about to say more. Miriam knocked again. "Gabriel, we should leave now, or we'll miss the flight." Gabriel checked the time, hesitated for a moment, then supported me to sit on the bed and gently instructed, "These days, have the housekeeper make something light for you. When I come back, I'll bring you butterfly pastries from East City." He kissed the top of my head lightly, just like always, as if the argument just now had already been wiped clean, and I would obediently stay home waiting for him like before. Chapter 9. After arriving in East City, Gabriel seemed to be trying to make peace. Every day he would send his schedule to me on time, reporting his whereabouts and asking about my condition. Just like before, I didn't reply, and even found it a bit funny. He didn't need to tell me any of this. Miriam updated her notes very frequently. Private golf club, ski resort, yacht club, auction events. Wherever Gabriel went, she followed. If the work schedule involved confidentiality, she would post food and entertainment instead. Those glamorous high society glimpses brought Miriam massive traffic and attention. Some highly liked comments even asked when she and the CEO were planning to prepare for pregnancy so they could choose reincarnation early. Miriam replied with a shy emoji and pinned that comment. Soon the posts were seen by people in the industry, and Gabriel's blurry side profile in the photos was recognized. Different voices began appearing in the comments. This is Gabriel from Wanza Tech. I remember his wife is a college classmate. They married right after graduation. Damn. So the blogger is doing 2+1? I've been shipping them for so long. Gross. Unfollowing tainted my feed. Why is everyone only blaming the woman? Let me scold the man. Cheating men are rotten cucumbers. Messages like these kept increasing. Miriam couldn't delete them fast enough, so she hid the post and set her account to private. But the topic had already spread. Someone even opened a thread analyzing whether Gabriel's exclusive assistant knowingly became a mistress. I originally intended to scroll past, but after a moment, I went back and bought extra promotion for that post. Let the drama escalate, why not? I've always enjoyed watching a good spectacle. My lower abdomen ached faintly, so I put down my phone and took a sip of the Angelica black chicken soup Amanda brought. On the second day after flying to Lianqing, I went to the private hospital and had the surgery. The doctor said I was a bit anemic and suggested I stay hospitalized for a few days. So I simply stayed for a week. Not as heartbroken as I'd imagined. After waking from surgery, I was so calm it even frightened me a little. The baby was still tiny, just over 40 days, merely an embryo. I was relieved I hadn't brought him into this world. A child whose parents do not love each other is like a plant that never sees sunlight. It will always grow with more hardship than others. The bitter medicinal taste spread in my mouth. Amanda's housekeeper had good cooking skills, and I finished the soup in one go. Then picked up the equity transfer letter. As expected, Gabriel would contact me soon. Chapter 10. I didn't expect him to come directly. Just after I finished Amanda's warning call, a dusty, exhausted figure appeared outside the ward door. Gabriel's face was ashen. He stood frozen, staring at me lying on the hospital bed. It took a long time before he moved his lips and forced out a hoarse question. Why are you in the obstetrics and gynecology department? I had a minor surgery. I replied calmly. It's exactly what you're imagining. He swayed, almost collapsing. Passing nurses glanced curiously at this tall man who looked completely shaken. I sighed. Come in, close the door. I have something to tell you. Gabriel walked toward the bed in a daze. Once he got closer, I realized his jaw was covered in stubble, and faint dark circles hung under his eyes. His shirt wasn't ironed. The collar wrinkled. Looked like he had taken the earliest flight here. I looked away and handed him a document. The divorce was rushed. We didn't settle the financial part properly. The company is your life's work. I don't want your shares. Just give me $30 million in cash, and half of the real estate fund and insurance. Gabriel flipped through the document without lifting his head. His hands began to tremble. He looked at me, utterly stunned. When did you prepare all this? I let out a silent laugh. When you were taking your exclusive assistant around to see the world and helping her prepare for pregnancy. Gabriel frowned and hurried to explain. If this is because of that account, I've already asked PR to take care of it. The posts will be suppressed. The account will be deleted soon. It won't cause much trouble. Miriam. He paused. Miriam will be transferred to an out-of-town branch. She won't be my assistant anymore. She said the social media stuff was just a side job, and she got carried away trying to chase traffic. Those things she posted weren't real. Gabriel spoke faster and faster. He looked at me in pain and shakily reached out, wanting to touch my lower abdomen. Julia, it's been 7 years. Why do we have to turn things into this? Why? I brushed his hand away coldly. Even now, you still think you did nothing wrong, don't you? Chapter 11. Gabriel froze, then suppressed anger as he growled. What exactly did I do wrong? Between Miriam and me, aside from work, we never crossed any lines. I've never done anything that betrayed you. Pfft. I held my abdomen, laughing so hard my eyes nearly teared up. Oh, so remembering your assistance period, buying her a necklace worth over $1 million, sticking to her side throughout business trips, and even drinking from the same cup, these are all considered work? Our Gabriel is truly, incredibly compassionate. I clapped lightly, sincerely praising him. Gabriel's face went from pale to stark white. He pressed his lips together. After a long time, he finally spoke. I just saw my past self in her. You don't understand. Back then, I was the same, poor family, excluded by others, hit walls everywhere looking for a job, enduring everything on my own. I understand. I cut him off, closing my eyes. In the end, I still embarrassingly let my voice tremble. I'm the one who walked through those years with you. Did you forget that, Gabriel? During those youthful years full of inferiority, bitterness, and confusion, I carefully protected that boy's fragile pride. Rainy days when he fell off the electric bike and got covered in mud didn't matter. Saving bit by bit to buy him a discounted suit was happier for me than buying myself 100 dresses. On anniversaries, we could only afford street food. He felt so guilty his eyes turned red, promising he would make it up to me one day. I raised my cheap drink toward the stray dog by the stall and shouted that we would get rich someday. I accompanied him from a rented room to a wider world, step by step. Yet he couldn't wait to take the fruits of our journey and use them to shelter another girl. Do you know why I never want to spend my birthday alone? Gabriel stiffened, confused why I suddenly changed the topic. Because every year on my birthday, I dream of the scene from the day my mother killed herself. She was driven insane by all the filthy cheating mess my father caused, so much that she chose death, leaving me behind. I gently rubbed the clean bedsheets and said softly, "And this year, you left me too, just because you had to accompany Miriam to fix her stupid computer." Gabriel tried to explain. I shook my head and met his eyes directly. You're the one who said it. Loyalty to your partner is the baseline in a relationship. The bullet fired 7 years ago hit him right between the eyes. Gabriel clutched his head in agony. I will never let history repeat itself. This marriage is over. Leave. Chapter 12. Gabriel refused to leave. Amanda scolded him with every harsh word she knew and even slapped him twice. But the next day, he still showed up outside the ward like clockwork, bringing more expensive supplements, along with my favorite butterfly pastries and iris flowers. I didn't touch them and sent everything back exactly as it came, and so it continued until the day before I was discharged. Hudson suddenly called. He said Miriam's situation was being exploited by competitors. Public opinion was spiraling, and Wanza's stock price had dropped significantly. Worried that the shares I held would depreciate too much, I called Gabriel over and told him to go back and deal with the company first. I'll be going back once too. Gabriel's eyes lit up. But I won't attend the press conference, nor will I help you clarify anything. You made your own mess, you solve it. Hudson's call earlier wasn't just to ask me to persuade Gabriel to return, he also had a request. The shareholders wanted me and Gabriel to hold a press conference together to clear up the scandal about an alleged affair during the marriage. After all, nothing actually happened. At least give Gabriel a chance. You two have been together for so many years. How many people has he rejected because of you? If he really wanted something, it would have happened long ago. This time the assistant's just young and ignorant. Don't stoop to her level. Everyone at Wanza only recognizes you as the lady boss. Can't you just help us this once? I let out a laugh. Hudson, I have no sense of the bigger picture, and I'm just an old tigress. I can't help you with this. And also, I'm already divorced from Gabriel. As for the lady boss of Wanza, whoever wants the title can take it. Hudson fell silent. I hung up decisively, a deep breath, one last trip back. There was still something I had to do. Chapter 13. I originally planned to walk separately from Gabriel, but he checked the flights and followed me to the airport like a silent ghost. I couldn't be bothered with him and wore sunglasses the whole way. Sleeping, he followed from a distance quietly, never approaching to disturb me. Not a word was spoken, and just like that, we arrived at the doorstep of home. Somehow, Miriam had gotten the news and was waiting for us there. She had lost a lot of weight in just a few days. She dressed like a student, wore no makeup, looking nothing like the dazzling girl in haute couture from before. The moment she saw Gabriel, her eyes turned red with grievance. Gabriel, HR suspended me, and they even threw all my things out. Gabriel's expression was cold. I arranged that. You'll report to the branch office next month. But I'm your assistant. Miriam still tried to fight back. You should know what you did wrong. Suspension and reassignment is already the lightest punishment. Gabriel's tone was icy as he walked around her, wanting to lead me into the house. Miriam, eyes red, chased after us. But I only posted a few notes. What girl hasn't fantasized about a domineering CEO falling for her? She sobbed uncontrollably. I admit there were fictional parts, but social media needs topics to get views. Gabriel, you know my parents are disabled, and my younger brother is still studying. They all rely on me to send money home. I'm under too much pressure. That's why I tried to increase my income like this. Gabriel, please give me another chance. Miriam grabbed Gabriel's sleeve, crying pitifully, like a delicate blossom drenched in rain. Such a dramatic sob story. I crossed my arms and watched with interest, counting the necklace. In just a few months since joining, Miriam had received over $2 million worth of gifts and bonuses from Gabriel, not to mention all the haute couture dresses for events, VIP cards for private clubs, and so on. I investigated. Her parents' health condition was indeed bad, but they were honest, hardworking people, not the type to drain their daughter. Miriam's panic now was simple. She couldn't bear to lose her current lifestyle. Gabriel seemed to realize it as well. He pulled his arm away from Miriam with disgust. Enough. If you don't leave now, I'll call security. Miriam was still crying as she tried to defend herself. I didn't expect that post to get so much traffic. Someone must have pushed it behind the scenes. She suddenly seemed to find a breakthrough. With reddened eyes, she looked at me. Sister-in-law. Was it you? I know you don't like me, but Wanza is Gabriel's life's work. How could you do this out of a moment of spite? Shut up, Gabriel roared. Don't you dare throw dirty water on Julia. You are the last person qualified to judge how she treats Wanza. Miriam let out a tearful laugh. Gabriel, do you still not understand? Look at her, acting all holier than thou. Besides draining your emotional energy and spending your money, what has she ever done for you? Does she care about your health? Does she know how hard it was for you to build everything from scratch? When you were waking up before dawn for work, so busy you didn't even have time to eat. She was at home playing rich lady, throwing tantrums whenever she pleased. What has she ever sacrificed for you? Someone like her, she doesn't deserve to be with you. Miriam's face twisted. Her eyes filled with hatred as she glared at me. Suddenly, I felt an unusual sense of ease. I raised my hand and slapped her hard across the face. Looks like you didn't learn your lesson last time. When I was struggling alongside Gabriel, you were God knows where, daydreaming about rising to the top overnight. What right do you have to say I don't deserve him? Idiot. Security arrived in response and dragged Miriam away. She cried Gabriel's name over and over, but never received a reply again. Chapter 14. Gabriel held the press conference alone, apologized to the supporters, and announced that he would temporarily step down from his position without affecting the company's normal operations. Because his attitude was sincere, and he additionally launched a corporate charity fund to shift public attention, he managed to stop the damage in time. After Miriam caused trouble that day, Gabriel directly canceled her chance to be transferred to the branch office. Unwilling to give up, she used the same trick again and went to the underground parking lot to block the car. But that day, the person driving was Hudson, and he didn't brake in time. He knocked Miriam straight into the hospital. In the hospital, Miriam cried and made a scene, demanding that Gabriel come see her. She was filmed by onlookers and posted online, which triggered another wave of public mockery. When I saw the video, I had already finished handling the share transfer and property division. The day before returning to Lianqing, I went to see my mother. My mother's grave was very clean, with a bouquet of purple irises and her favorite mung bean cakes placed in front. Expressionless, I threw the flowers and pastries into a plastic bag and replaced them with the ones I brought. Mom, from now on I can't help you throw away the things he brings. Just pretend you didn't see them. I gently stroked the smiling brows in the photo and whispered, "All of these were from that man, my biological father." When my mother jumped, everyone thought he would remarry soon, but he suddenly became a completely different person. After finishing the funeral, he sat alone at home for 3 days and 3 nights, then shaved his head clean. He never went to dance halls again, never flirted with other women, spent his days drunk, and cried holding my mother's photos whenever he sobered up. The old neighbor lady always shook her head when mentioning him. When she was alive, he didn't treat her well. Now, what's the use of crying? Yes, what's the use? If pain after separation is used to measure the depth of love, then such a relationship is nothing but mutual torment. Chapter 15. On my way down the mountain, a light rain suddenly began to fall. Autumn was approaching, and there was a faint chill in the air. From afar, I saw Gabriel standing under a street sign holding an umbrella. I didn't know how long he had been waiting. When he saw me come out, he hurried over at a half-run, tilting the umbrella toward my side, then took out a warm bag of roasted chestnuts from his coat. "I saw someone selling these by the road, so I bought you some. I remember every autumn you kept saying you wanted candied chestnuts." He offered the bag to me carefully, like presenting a treasure. The sweet, toasty aroma floated in the air. I didn't take it. I only stared at the half of his shoulder already soaked by the rain. "Gabriel," I said, "do you remember the morning we first got together?" He froze, then looked pleasantly surprised and nodded. "I remember. It snowed heavily that day. You were waiting downstairs at the dorm to give me breakfast. Your nose and ears were all red from the cold." I adjusted the umbrella, shifting it so that it covered his shoulder. "At that time, you told me, love yourself first, then love others." Then I lowered my head and took another umbrella from my backpack. "If you want me to forget everything and get back together with you, that would only be torture for me. Spilt water can't be recovered. A broken mirror cannot be made whole. So let's both love ourselves properly." Gabriel's eyes gradually dimmed. "I'm sorry. And don't come looking for me again. I still have many things to do, like renovating my apartment, like raising a puppy, like opening my own studio." I opened my own umbrella and turned toward the distance. Amanda had just sent me a photo. The little apartment I liked had a south-facing balcony. In the afternoon sun, even the floor was dyed a gentle golden color. So lovely. This rain, I'll let it fall only until here.